So, hacking in the Pokemon main series, right? Or hacking in general in Pokemon, right? I don't know how many times I've mentioned this before, but I decided to talk about it as a whole, deal with some arguments for and against it, and just get my opinions out there in advance, just pre-release for Scarlet and Violet. I played Pokemon since the very start, since the original Red and Blue, where we would literally, as a kid, glitch in the missingno nonsense, and as a kid, not have a clue what was going on and where we're getting infinite rare candies and not having that kind of stuff. However, one thing I really find with hacking now, as everything has evolved, is we now have a culture of people who hack and people who don't hack, and 99% of players who compete in the competitive scene actually hack. So my position is I don't hack. I actually personally don't care if people hack, as long as they don't alter the stats beyond what you can obtain in the game. And there's multiple reasons for that. Now, I prefer that people don't, but I'm not blaming people. My whole argument is going to lead to something completely different, right? So I've never hacked in Pokemon. I've never cheated. I have, well, we're going to use the exclusion. I cheated in the original game when we were kids because I really found out you could do the missingno cheat, and everyone did that to test it. And we all did that in school. I'm not going to count that. I was like 5 or 7. I don't know how old I was, but like we're not going to go over that. But in general, since I've done competitive battling or on multiplayer, I have never cheated. And this includes back in the day whenever I played Pokemon Diamond. Pokemon Diamond was when I really started getting the competitive scene. We had a lot of fun with Ruby, playing with the kids in the street and stuff, and we're all kids and all, and playing every weekend. But very specifically, the competitive scene started for me when Diamond came out. And I made a heal team. So I had a Bombasnow, I had Frostlass, I had Weavile, I had Glaceon, I had Mamoswine, and then the last one alternated between Walrein and Glalie. There was multiple reasons. I'm not going to win the team, right? Now, that was a main team of 6 or 7, but we'll say 6 for the argument's sake, right? Back then, if you wanted to battle, in a literal sense, you would have to spend months and months grinding out these Pokemon to get stats. Because in Pokemon, there are 2 stats that everyone gets confused about. The most complicated one is IVs, to breed them down. I'm not going to talk about how to do it now because it's way too complicated, but it's a long learning process and a long process of actually doing it. So, what I tend to find is that back then, I was very understanding of hacking. Very understanding, because nobody in the right mind wants to do that. Like, that is, not even MMOs expect people to grind that much just to compete in a tournament. Like, that is just not acceptable, right? So, I never did it. It's against my own personal morals, but I don't push my morals into other people. I don't think that's right. So people hacked in tournaments, openly spoke about it. Like, I remember I was down in one of the tournaments, and I remember I was in my team, and I was asked what program that because whenever you go to a tournament, right, most people don't know this. When you go to a tournament to compete for VGC points, you have to write down your team and the stats and everything, so you can't change it during the tournament, right? And one of the judges who I was signing up for actually asked me what program that I used to make this team. And I was like, what? And the judge looked at me like I was an idiot for breeding it properly, right? I was treated like an outcast because I was actually legitimately playing the game, right? So that got me into thinking, it's like, what am I doing here? Why am I playing this legitimately whenever everyone else is cheating, right? But when I think about it, I kind of enjoyed that process of breeding and putting the effort into the team, right? I personally got value from that. So that tournament went on fine, everything was fine. We move on up into black and white. The same problem happened where the tournament people were asking what program you're using. These are official Pokemon Company judges, right? They are official judges. And that is just the way it was. Now, as we moved into Generation 7, whatever X and Y is, right? We got the Destiny Knot method, which allowed you to breed down the IVs a lot easier. So it massively reduced the amount of time you'd have to breed, right? Massively reduced it and put less RNG in it, but it was still long. So instead of a month around per Pokemon, you could get one in about a couple of days. If you put a lot of time in it, you could do it, right? So it was a lot easier to get a team and maybe have multiple teams. Because see, in Diamond and Pearl and Black and White, I had one team throughout the entire generation because you could not edit. So whenever the rules changed in the battles, it was like, I had to stick with my original team. While everybody else was like cheating and like changing their teams around, I wasn't able to do that. So I will argue there that the hacking actually gave them a massive competitive advantage in the sense that in one of the tournaments, one of the guys hacked in a Sandstorm team, knowing that I was going to be sticking with the ice team because I didn't cheat, and I got completely put out and hard countered, right? Which is an advantage of cheating, right? Like, I did win by cheating, and that guy I did beat beforehand. Now, X and Y comes in, everything gets a little bit easier. The tournaments X and Y, I played a good few. I actually used Mega Lucario in that generation, and Kangaskhan, and Lopunny as well. But I was able to breed them in not relatively easily. It took a long time, but I was able to breed those things in and it got a little bit easier. But it still took a considerable amount of time. So again, people were doing this nonsense and they were editing in. Again, I can empathize with it, but I don't agree with it, okay? So I want to take a quick pause here and talk about the people who hack, right? Most people do not want to spend hours and hours and hours breeding in a competitive team just to battle with. People just want the battle, especially with how complicated and flimsy that the EV and IV system is. In general, I personally get enjoyment from it. I like it. Most people don't. And this has to be respected because this is a thing, right? So if people don't want to spend hours and hours grinding, I'm fine with that because I can still do it my way. And I feel like we should allow people to do it their way as long as they're not getting competitive advantage. Now, as we move into Sun and Moon, we get the bottle caps, which is really, really good. Now, they were a little bit difficult to get, but you could get them, and they allowed people to completely skip the breeding process, right? So they allowed you to get your IV set to max, and you never had to breed. You had other methods of doing it if you didn't want to do the breeding, because most people in the right mind don't like breeding. I like it because it's chill, but as time goes on, I find less time to do it. Even now, I don't like breeding as much because I don't have the time. I work now, and back then, when I was playing Diamond and Pearl, I didn't have to work. I was in school. I was sitting breeding my eggs under my desk when I was in school. But honestly, it was one of those things where as time gets on, it's getting easier, right? Now in Sword and Shield, we have a very, very big change, which is there's no limit on the vitamins, so you can max out EVs in literally seconds. And no, you can max out EVs in about 4 seconds if you have the money, right? You can buy the bottle caps for battle points, and you can change the nature of the battle points too. You can edit the entire Pokemon. You can do exactly what these cheat devices do, which is kind of like the Pokemon company showing you over time that they admit that their methods are old and nobody wants to do it, because every generation we get, they are giving you methods to deal with it, right? So this is where you can see the actions of the company. Every generation it gets easier, and they give you the tools that these hacking devices give you in the first place, which makes me wonder, right? Now, ultimately, the position comes down to this. I don't hack. I never will. I am actually against it. But at the same time, I understand why people do it. People do it because they don't want to spend time on hours and hours grinding at the team. But now it's really easy. Like in Sword and Shield, we've got in a position where we don't need to hack. Like you can get a competitive team in about a day. You can get a competitive team in 1 day. It is perfectly possible to do. And that's a reasonable amount of effort to put into a team. You can cheat, you can get more Pokemon, and you can make another competitive team. You can make tons of competitive Pokemon really easily now, especially with the new Battle Tower, getting the most battle points I've ever seen per hour, ever. And it's perfectly doable. You can edit the entire Pokemon. It's fantastic. So there's already no reason to hack anyway. But my ultimate problem with this whole drama is, number one, I don't like it when people force their views on other people, right? I'm very, very against hacking. And the most common arguments I hear is you shouldn't do it because it's cheating and you should have to put effort into it. And I will say, right, that's good, but you can still do that. Don't force that onto other people who just want to enjoy the game, right? But that isn't even the big problem. The big problem is the Pokemon Company International, right? Why in the world does this company have employees that encourage and talk about hacking since the very start, whilst at the same time in their terms and conditions say it's forbidden? What is that inconsistency? This whole problem can be settled by the Pokemon Company saying either, right guys, you know what? We're going to make it a little bit easier. We don't care about the hacking. Remove it from the TNC, right? And that's a valid position to take. Just who cares? Just hack whatever you want, battle, whatever, right? They're never going to do that, right? So they put in the hacking rule. So they need to enforce it. It must be enforced, because right now we've got whole base of the community where one side of the community is like, well, this is realistic, we're hacking, blah, 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 because everyone else is. And the other half is following the terms and conditions, what the tournament rule says. But the community is following it, which a community that I'm part of does. That's why I join it, because I don't like to hack. But we're all following the official rules, but the people that made the rules aren't doing it. Like, what's going on? Like, the Pokemon Company is responsible for all of this. Like, this isn't the time to, like, do relicify stuff and go after YouTubers or Pokemon players. This is not the time to go after people who are not hacking. This is not the time for hackers to make fun of the non-hackers and back and forth. This is the time where everybody should be attacking the Pokemon Company for literally going on and saying, you can't hack, you will be banned from tournaments if you hack. Whilst at the same tournament going, so what, you used to hack, yeah? Oh, that's good, yeah. What is that? Like, that needs to stop. And that's the core, in my opinion, that is the core problem of Pokemon. And I have loved Pokemon ever since I was a child. It was the first game I ever got, and I have loved it. But this is one inconsistency that my brain just can't function with it. I'm hoping as we go into Scarlet Violet, I think what their plan is to stop, because to be fair, it's really, really hard to stop hacking. It's really hard to do it. It's easy enough to do at tournaments, but they're never going to do it, right? But it seems to be what they're trying to do is that every generation, as I said earlier, they're making it easier to do, right? To modify your own Pokemon. It seems like they're trying to cut out hacking by just allowing you to do it in game anyway, because every generation gets easier. So I'm just wondering, is that their goal? I don't know, but that's my position on Pokemon. My own personal position, is I will never hack. I never will do it. I've never done it. Even back when it was hard, when everybody else did, I did not hack, and people looked at me like I was an idiot. But at the same time, I try to be as like understanding as possible. And it's just a problem that the Pokemon Company needs to take a stand on. And there's nothing anybody else can do. So all this drama with philosophy and all these other YouTubers and all this shit, none of this is solving anything apart from making the tournament worse for everybody going into it. The Pokemon Company needs to make a stand. They need to say that this is not acceptable and it will be dealt with, and actually deal with it and ban these people from tournaments. If they actually care, they need to ban them from the tournaments. And it looks like they just don't care, because they've never, like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And it's actually one thing that I believe that we can all rally around and say that this needs to be enforced, or it needs to be it either has to be enforced or removed. I'm fine with either. I don't care, because I'll still not hack regardless. But it needs to be enforced or removed right now until they make a stand on it, because right now they say it's enforced, but they encourage it. It makes no sense, and it causes all this drama for no reason. But yes, that is my position / rant for the day.